The topic that I chose was good sex and bad sex. I actually chose sex, wars, and pornography, but I kind of was reading through thinking sex, and I decided that I thought this topic might be more interesting to focus on because it seemed more relevant in my life. I chose this topic because I feel like there was like a very big difference in the way good sex and bad sex is looked upon today as it was looked upon in the 80s when Ruben was making this essay. And yeah, I chose it because I thought it was an interesting idea to think about how sex has changed and if it has changed, our outlook on sex has changed for the better or for the worse. I guess this relates to me because personally I've grown up in the church, and I think the idea of good sex and bad sex was more apparent to me than it was to other people who I went to high school with. And I think I wanted to focus a lot on how curious people are about sex and how like sex is something that people are always wondering about, like who slept with who and like how far did you go. And it is just interesting to think how in the 80s people were more looked down upon for having sex outside of love, when today it seems more like a victory and things have sort of reversed, and people may look down on you more for being a virgin and has any of the ideas from the essay from Ruben stuck with culture today. Yeah, so like I said, this topic relates to my life because, well, one, because I am a woman, and I think that women always view sex differently than males do. I think emotionally and physically, and well, that might just be me being a little stereotypical, but I think that I have experienced going to high school and feeling the pressure from friends outside of the church to have like more sexual relations with boys in high school at earlier ages than wait. I think that this topic is important in general because I think girls and women should both be aware of the benefits and disadvantages to having a world where sex isn't looked at as such a terrible thing. I think people should be aware of the treatment that women had once who wanted to sleep around, but I think at the same time, it's important to like realize that we only have one body and we don't want to abuse it to the point that something bad were to happen to it, and to realize that like not all men are good out there, and there are men that are looking to harm girls, and that will like force you to take it further than you want to. And I think the idea of straying away from this clear defined line of good sex and bad sex can be detrimental to women if they were put into a situation where now they believe that, oh, well, people don't look down upon sex outside of love anymore, but at the same time, like, there are still men out there that are trying to hurt you and that don't really care about your feelings. So I think it's important for people to just be educated on the differences between, like, well, what is right, because I still believe there is a line between good sex and bad sex, and just like making sure that you respect yourself and your body and don't put yourself in harm's way, like willingly. I think that's important. Yeah, so I'm basically going to be linking all of this, to the reading by Ruben, and just, yeah, going through the differences in both culture and the similarities in women of both time periods, and how different and similar it is, and how we should take this as a way for us to better realize where we're coming from. Because, yeah, like someone I was talking to about the subject was saying today, like the only bad sex is rape, and that is true. Like, I think sex is really not really treated as intensely as it used to be, especially in high school. But yeah. Okay. And that's all.